Now here's our Fundamentals of Geometry Chapter 2 Study Guide, Answer Key. So in the study guide, in problem number 1, we know that there are 3 points that are all on the same line. They're collinear. So I like to, again, make a sketch of a line segment here and start placing the letters on there, the points on there. So I'm going to put M and P first. And I know the distance is 43. So I'm going to label 43 between them. Then I have N to P, P to N, which is going to be 27. And then I look at M to N, which is the distance all the way across. I have 16. That doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking, I got to rethink this. I need to reposition some points here. So I decide to change the P and the N and see if that makes a difference. So put the N in the middle or in between and P here. So just thinking that if we know N to P is 27, and we know that the whole distance M to P is 43, that means M to N is 16. That makes sense because 16 plus 27 is 43. N is in the middle. It's in between. Now, number 2, most of you are getting the idea here that, hey, the longer segment, the longer piece should identify the outside endpoints. So Y to Z, just put them at the endpoints. That's going to be 28 distance. So I need to put my Z in, the X, in between. I know X to Z is a little bit longer than X to Y. And if you add them up, it should equal 28. So X has to be between in this problem. Now for questions 3 to 5, we're referring to the figure below. We're going to use this number line for each of these. So number 3 says to do some measuring. So I get my ruler out. I'm going to do the centimeters first, and we're measuring from J to N. So make sure I'm at the right side of my right side of my ruler. And I want to start from J and measure to N. When I place my ruler up there, I want to start where the 0 is. My ruler does not start at the end. So make sure I position it there. And as I adjust it, I can see it's about 12 and a half, and each of those lines is a tenth. So I'm going to put down 12.8, 12 and 8/10 centimeters. We write decimals for metrics. And I'll flip it around and do the inches measurement. Again, start at 0. And notice it's very close to 5. It's just a little bit past the 5. And the smallest measurement on my ruler past 5 is a 16th. So I'm just going to put 5 and 1/16 inches. It's very close to 5. For number 4, I'm just going to label the number line. From J to L is 50. From K to L is 28. So to find J to K, I have to subtract 50 and 28. And I find out it's 22 units. Same with number 5. So J to L this time is a 64. L to M is 32. So I'm going to label 32 from L to M. And from M to N is 35. So I label those, cross out the 50 from the other problem. And notice J to N includes all 3 of those pieces. So I just add those 3 up with a result of 131 units. So for question 6 to 8, use this number line. We're going to find the length of this line segment. So we just look where A is and where E is. It's 2 and -3, so you subtract and find the distance of 5 units. Now for number 7, we need to find out if this is true or false. So I need to know the distance of C to B. What is B? So I look at 0 to 1 and figure out these are cut into thirds. So as I look at -1, I go to -1 and 2/3 for B. And all I need to do is subtract 0 minus -1 and 2/3, get 1 and 2/3 for that distance. Then look at C to D. D is 1 and 1/3. So subtract 0, which is what C is. Find the distance is 1 and 1/3. They're not the same, so this is a false statement. And number 8, you're looking for the midpoint from E to G, distance of 2. So you have to go to the right 1 and left 1, and you find the midpoint is F, 3. For number 9, to figure out if this is true or false, instead of drawing a number line, I just decided I'm going to put distances, and if they're congruent, the distances have to be equal. So notice the distance of M to N has to be the same as S to T. This is a true statement. For number 10, apply the definition of midpoint. Midpoint splits the segment into 2 equal parts, so set up the two equal parts equal to each other, have an equation, solve for x, and you end up with 6 equals x. You can do a check step, make sure both of those segments are the same distance, and they are, so we know that we are correct. On this page, 11 to 17, we're going to use the coordinate plane that's listed there. Just a reminder, x comes first, then the y coordinate. So just be careful, common mistakes are made flipping those around. So if you go to the right on x, that's a positive 4, up is positive 2. Number 13 is q, so you're going left 5, which is negative 5, up 3. And 14, you're identifying the points. Pick out the correct ones, so R is 14. 15 would be P. And 16 would end up being T. All right, for number 17, you're going to locate 3, 0, which ends up being right on the x-axis because you don't go up any, so V is on the x-axis. And the second one is 0, negative 2, so this will be on the y-axis. That would be letter Z. Then find A, and also find B at positive 3, negative 2. And for questions 18 to 20, we're going to apply the midpoint formula. Remember, we add the x coordinates and divide by 2 to find the middle of the x values. Do the same with the y coordinates. And when you put those two together, you have the ordered pair that goes with the midpoint of that segment. So for number 19, your midpoint ends up being 1.5 is your x coordinate, 4.5 is your y coordinate. And number 20, the midpoint is 6, 5. Do your best on the test.